Reading the Bible, Logue Special Nighttime Edition. Logan, what makes it nighttime? Because I will not be turning on lights and the sun is not out. Real simple, nothing complicated. Um, Today, I feel like I always say that, like, give thanks for the little things. Uh, you know, even in your relationship, give thanks for the little things. There might be a lot of things that that person doesn't do. A lot of areas they lack in that you're used to. Uh, what are they great? What are they great at though? Don't you appreciate that? Don't you appreciate that they vacuum and wash your car every week? Ah, yo. Oh man, I don't know. I put a lot of work into this thing, this extracurricular thing that I was doing, and I think I put a lot of work into the wrong aspect, and I got to see it through now because now I have all these parts and these tools, so I gotta see it through now. So anyway, reading the Bible, look, Psalm 78. I already addressed that. A skillful song. I got gum in my mouth. They don't let them chew gum on the Breakfast Club. We ain't gonna do it on reading about look. How about that? Yes, we got high standards. Listen, O my people, to my teaching. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth and be willing to learn. I will open my mouth in a parable to instruct using examples. I will utter dark and puzzling sayings of old that contain important truth. I just thought about if I need to write notes, I'm going to need a light. That's okay. Which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from their children. But we will tell the generation to come to the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord and tell of his great might and power and the wonderful works that he has done. For he established a testimony, a specific precept in Jacob, and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should teach to their children the great facts of God's transactions with Israel, that the generation to come might know them, that the children still to be born may arise and recount them to their children, that they should place their confidence in God, and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments, and not be like their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that did not prepare its heart to know and follow God, and whose spirit was not faithful to God. The sons of Ephraim were armed as archers and carrying bows, yet they turned back in the day of battle. They did not keep the covenant of God and refused to walk according to his law, and they forgot his incredible works. And his miraculous wonders that he had shown them. So what made them there had to be something to trigger that, right? You just don't walk in faith. Like they had to lose something, they had to suffer something, right? They did not keep the covenant of God and refused to walk according to his law, and they forgot his incredible works. He did marvelous things in the sight of their fathers in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zon, where Pharaoh resided. He divided the Red Sea and allowed them to pass through it, and he made the water stand up like water behind a dam. That's crazy. In the daytime, he led them without a cloud, and all night with a light of fire. He split rocks in the wilderness and gave them abundant water to drink like the ocean depths. I bet you that was some good water. He brought streams also from the rock at Rephidim and Kadesh and caused waters to run down like rivers. Yet they still continued to sin against him by rebelling against the Most High in the desert. And in their hearts they put God to the test by asking for food according to their selfish appetite. Yeah. Now they're asking for crab legs, crab cake, Olive Garden breadsticks. All right, let's see what's happening. Behold, he struck the rock so that the waters gushed out and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also, or will he provide meat for his people? Therefore, when the Lord heard, he was full of wrath. A fire was kindled against Jacob, and his anger mounted up against Israel. Because they did not believe in God, they did not rely on him, they did not adhere to him, and they did not trust in his salvation, his power to save. Yet he commanded the clouds from above and opened the doors of heaven, and he rained down manna upon them to eat and gave them the grain of heaven. Man ate the bread of angels, God sent them in abundance. He caused the east wind to blow in the heavens, and by his unlimited power, he unguided the south wind. He rained meat upon them like dust, and winged birds quail like the sand of the seas. And he let them fall in the midst of their camps around their tents. So they ate and they were well filled. He gave them what they craved. That sounds like our God, even though sometimes we don't deserve it, you know. Before they had satisfied their desire, and while their food was in their mouth, the wrath of God rose against them and killed some of the strongest of them and subdued the choice young men of Israel. In spite of all this, they still sinned, for they did not believe in his wonderful and extraordinary works. It's kind of scary a little bit. But I think this is different in praying for something, having faith for something, and then being boisterous, saying, well, God, you know, can you know what I'm saying? This ain't, you know, can you do this since you God? I think there's a difference. Therefore, he consumed their days like a breath, in emptiness and futility, and their years in sudden terror. When he killed some of them, then those remaining sought him, and they returned to him and searched diligently for God for a time. And they remembered that God was their rock and the Most High God, their Redeemer. Nevertheless, they flattered him with their mouths and lied to him with their tongues. For their heart was not steadfast toward him, nor were they faithful to his covenant. But he, the source of compassion and love kindness, forgave their wickedness and did not destroy them. Many times he restrained his anger and didn't stir up all his wrath. For he graciously remembered that they were mere human flesh, and when that goes and does not return. That's something to think about. How often they rebelled against him in the wilderness and grieved him in the desert. Again and again they tempted God and distressed the Holy One of Israel. They did not remember the miracles worked by his powerful hand, nor did they when he redeemed them from the enemy. How he worked his miracles in Egypt and his wonders in the field of Zoan, where Pharaoh resided, and turned rivers into blood so they couldn't drink. He sent among them swarms of flies which devoured them. That's a side story. another day, and frogs which destroyed them. He also gave their crops to the grasshopper and the fruit of their labor to the locust. He destroyed their vines with great hailstones and their sycamore trees with frost. That's a lot to do at one time. He gave over their cattle also to the hailstones and their flocks and herds to the thunderbolts. He sent upon them his burning anger, his fury and indignation and distress, a band of angels of destruction among them. Ooh, I thought this was going to be short. I'm going to finish it though. He leveled a path for his anger to give it free run. He did not spare their souls from death, but turned over their lives to the plague. He killed all the firstborn in Egypt, the first and the best of their strength in their tents. But God led his own people forward like sheep and guided them in the wilderness like a good shepherd. He led them safely so they did not fear, but the sea engulfed their enemies. So he brought them to his holy land, to this mountain Zion, which his right hand had acquired. He also drove out the nations before the sons of Israel, and allotted their land as an inheritance measured out and partitioned. And he had the tribes of Israel dwell in their tents, the tents of those who had been dispossessed. Yet they tempted and rebelled against the Most High God, and did not keep his laws. You know what I want to say right there. Oh, yeah. All right, so this is the story. They turned back and acted unfaithfully like their fathers. They were twisted like a warped bow, for they provoked him to anger with their high places. Oh, they started doing that again, putting up statues and stuff, carved images, disobedient. Okay, 59. When God heard this, he was filled with righteous wrath and utterly rejected Israel, so that he abandoned the tabernacle at Shiloh, the tent in which he had dwelled among men, and gave up his strength and power, the ark of the covenant, into captivity, and his glory into the hand of the enemy. He also handed his people over to the sword and was infuriated. The fire devoured his young men, and his virgins had no wedding songs. His priests Hophni and Phinehas fell by the sword, and his widows could not weep. Then the Lord awakened as from sleep, like a warrior who awakens from the sleep of wine. Okay. Okay. He drove his enemies backward. He subjected them to lasting shame and dishonor. Moreover, he rejected the tent of Joseph and did not choose the tribe of Ephraim in which the tabernacle stood. But he chose the tribe of Judah, Mount Zion, which he loved, to replace Shiloh as his capital. And he built his sanctuary like the heights of the heavens, like the earth which he has established forever. He also chose David, his servants, and took him from the sheepfolds. I've never heard a reference like that. Like he took them from the sheepfolds. From tending the ewes with nursing young, he brought him to shepherd Jacob and his people, and Israel and his inheritance. So David shepherded them according to the integrity of his heart and guided him with his skillful hands. All right, reading the Bible with Logan. Until next time, Psalm 79. I think there's a lot of Psalms in. I think we got a lot to go. But I appreciate you reading the Bible with Logan. Until next time.